Good day, and welcome to the Budding Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Bridges. In each episode, I cover my experiences, both good and bad, of being a business builder, as well as my journey through the crazy world of entrepreneurship to reach my goal of earning $10 million a year. All right, we're on episode 118 of the podcast. Today is Thursday, October the 19th, 2023. Rolling right through the month. We're into our third week now. This has been a really good week. A lot of great things coming along. A lot of things happening this month. New ideas, new exciting things that I've been bringing into the equation for my clients. And so I want to share some of those, not just for my clients, but also for myself. We're still working with the same basic books right now. I'm rolling through Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. We're still working on $100 million offers by Alex Hormozi. And I'm going through magnetic marketing with Dan Kennedy. In fact, I just received my actual books that I had ordered a while back, the physical books. I love getting those physical books. They give such a different meaning to what's happening. And one of the books that accompanied it was a funnel book from Russell Brunson and the team. So that's kind of cool that you get something from within there to accentuate what's going on with Dan. We're still looking through our marketing KPIs. I think everybody, if you haven't built up KPIs on your own, I would encourage you to make sure you're keeping track of how many posts you make, how many blogs, how many podcasts you do, how many times you push something up to video. Just basically keep track of everything you're doing from the marketing perspective. And then also, while you're at it, you're going to be following up on the other areas, which is all of your outreach and how things are working through those. What sales calls are you doing? How many introductory conversations are you having? I had several of them yesterday, which was great. Get a chance to talk to different people, find out about their business, talk about mine, and bounce that off of other people. And so these marketing KPIs give you a real review on where you are as you're moving forward and talking with people. You know, the idea is, hey, we're getting somewhere. Still looking at implementing the Core 4 for Alex Hormozi. I'm doing these in doses. Obviously, you have to kind of do that. I'm also implementing Taylor Welch. That is all throughout this month, working on those frameworks, models, and processes to get things going. This week and last week, we kind of transitioned into a different aspect of things. I've introduced some new pieces to the puzzle for my marketing. One of them, I did a 5-problem sequence that I ended a little bit early, and I'll talk with you about that in a few minutes. And I'm continuing on with a blog series of all the people who've made a tremendous amount of benefit to my business and myself. The first week was Taylor Welch. This week was Dana Derrick's. I really was impressed with Dana's book, The Truth About Business. It's got a lot of information on the value ladder, a lot of pieces of the puzzle. In fact, the value ladder is one of those interesting things that goes back from quite a ways. I've been following that with Dana Derrick's, but also Russell Brunson just put out a new book on the linchpin. And you can see how he's using the value ladder to do things differently from what other people are doing. So that's a good book, by the way, to grab. You can usually find them on Facebook or any place like that. Just look it up. LINCHPIN, all one word. It's usually free plus shipping, which is cool. I know you can get it in some other areas. And so Dana Derrick's introduced me to that value ladder concept and really went in depth, as well as he introduced the Dream 100, which is a combination of advocacy and also expanding your community through other people. This next week, I'm going to be doing one on consulting. Who has made a big difference on my consulting concepts and how I go about things as I'm consulting? The week after that, we're going to be doing negotiation. And the 5th week is going to be pricing. I'll introduce it as I get to the next week, but for right now, we'll just kind of keep everybody in the dark on what's going on. I had started building a sequence of 5 sets of emails that focus on problem resolution within my target market. And, one of the key things is I'm essentially building a matrix of problems that are occurring, the solutions to them, and the outcomes that come from the solution. What I did was I was beginning to do 5 emails, and I put all the sequences together, started, and I realized 5 weeks is a long time to not make an ask. So I changed the end of the first week to make an ask. All they had to do was reply. This week, on the second problem, I decided to make an actual call to action. And this is something that is a little in your face, just a tiny bit. But basically, as I've gone through and I've given 2 weeks worth of benefit to somebody, now what I say is basically they have 3 avenues they can go after. One, they can just do nothing, continue to run their practice the way they are. If it's working that way for them, awesome. That's all the better. The second one is an action-oriented thing, and that's just to simply reply to the email with a phrase, and it'll allow me to know that that person is interested in receiving the rest of that sequence, the other 3 problems, solutions, and outcomes along the way. That's cool because it gives me a certain level of acknowledgement that what I'm doing is helping somebody. But the third part of this in the call to action was the actual outreach, where I'm offering them an opportunity to sit down, talk with me, work on their business, and actually say, hey, look, here's the problems that I'm having. And I say, great, let's peel it down and get to the one critical problem you have. We're going to solve it in that session if I can. Worst case scenario, I have to go over to a second session, do a little research to kind of set it up. And so we're giving pure value to people simply because they want to meet with us. The value comes first. And I think that that's something that a lot of strategy sessions don't necessarily provide, is they're not providing the level of value that people are actually looking for. And that's kind of a tough situation to be in, because if you're trying to do some of these pieces and you're trying to get things going, it's really difficult, or at least it can be very difficult. People don't know who you are yet. They don't know whether they can trust you. They have no proof. Maybe you have some social proof that you've put out there, but anybody can write anything about anybody, and it doesn't necessarily have to be true. It doesn't necessarily have to be firsthand experience. So we get into a little bit of a trust question, right? So by providing the value up front, and I encourage you to think about how you can provide value in advance before asking somebody to actually commit to you. That's how you do a lot of things and eliminate a lot of the sales pressure, a lot of the rejection, a lot of the resistance. That is something that you should kind of consider. Now, speaking of our series here, sequence, I want to talk about 3 different parts of this that I'm doing. I did 1 set of teaser emails to let people know what's coming. Then another partial week, I did 4 days of a first problem, which was one of the most common ones. I did a second round of emails that is the second problem. I want to kind of give you an idea of what is going on. This went to a cold list, absolutely ice cold. I've never connected with any of these people before. The numbers showed because there were a lot of unsubscribes and what have you in the first few days. And that's fine. You would expect that. But for the teaser email, and I've been running these now for 3 weeks, I'm averaging 138 emails being sent out throughout the week, and all the way through this over those 3 weeks. It's 138. Started with 325 the next day because we had a lot of unsubscribes. Went down to 293, and I did a lot of clearing as well. There were a lot of addresses that were bad. And then we kept it at 293, and then we've moved on. The next week was 71 to 62. And then this week was initially 62. Along with it, I just happened to add more people, which was kind of cool. The delivery rates averaged 88.74%. And that's not a surprise. It's a cold list. But the open rates, this is what really surprised the heck out of me. 24.49% open rate to an absolutely cold audience. That's really interesting, as well as 5.23% click rate. That's not bad. That's not bad. And you should be tracking, anytime you do a sequence, you should be tracking it on a daily basis. You need to know what's working and what's not. On the second set of emails, after the teaser, the actual content email, we averaged 181 being sent. That was an improvement because we jumped up and added a few more. Delivery rate 97.88% on average. We had a more moderate 14.27% open rate and a little bit lighter 4.78% click rate. Now, our unsubscribe was 0.2%. We had out of 181, only 4 unsubscribes. That's actually pretty darn good, and that was rolled across 2 weeks. In the second problem, the week, I had 260 average being sent out. 100% delivery because these people had already been cleared through the teaser and the first email. We had a 17.92% open rate, which I was not unhappy with that number. I mean, this is people that have already gotten a week of advance notice. They're looking at it now kind of going, well, maybe it might be a value. So 7.92% open rate, a 6.94% click-through rate, and 0 unsubscribes. I had one person send me an email complaining because I didn't have his first name right. He was a little hot and didn't want anything. And I'm like, you know what? That's cool. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Sorry for being an inconvenience to you. I'll have you on my unsubscribe list. No problem. So he won't be receiving anything else from us. And that's fine. Again, these are things that you should be doing if you're doing email of any kind. You can't manage what you can't measure. As you do content, you see things fall off, you see things drop. It's expected. The question is, do they fall off and drop dramatically? Do you go from 31% to 7%? Or do you go from 9% to 20%? What happened in one day that might make the difference of people actually opening your email? Maybe it was your subject line, so it's a good idea to keep track of that. I found that for subject lines, one of the most easy tools to use is ChatGPT, to put in the basic and then say, give me an engaging headline that this target market might be interested in and that they may want to actually read about. And that's actually a very easy thing to do. Utilize as much as you can the tools that you have. I tend to, anytime I'm doing anything with ChatGPT and I'm looking for an output, I'm asking it to make sure that it delivers to me content at the 6th grade reading level. And that way I cover the broadest audience, even though my target market is all, and I mean 100%, if they're an attorney, if they are a partner in an attorney firm, they are absolutely well educated. A 4th or a 6th grade reading level, and I target 6th grade for these types of emails. Simpler words, simple sentence structure. The easier it is to read, the more likely somebody is going to read it, remember it, and hold on to it. Keep track of all of this. Is it good? Is it bad? Do you see something that varies from week to week? Do you have any other kinds of questions that come up? Do you see a massive drop-off? One of the things that I noticed is that my larger samples in the 200 to 300 range came from larger cities. They have a higher open rate. Smaller cities tend to, have a smaller open rate. They have more time to look at it. They're not going through and saying, wow, what is this? They're busy. They are less or I should say more resistant to opening a cold email. That's what I found, and the numbers show that out. When I have small numbers like 70, you're looking at 31% all the way down to 20%, 21%. So you lose 10% on an open rate going from a large city to a small city. I got it down as low as 7% open rate, which is kind of a scary thing that I didn't target something right. And that's still in the 70 range. But also throughout the week, you've got to remember that the day you're emailing dictates a lot of the results you get. If you start an email sequence on Monday, you might get a lot of opens on it. Chances are email boxes are going to get full by Wednesday. My email is just absolutely slammed on Wednesday. I'll probably have 200 emails when I get up and get started with my day. Now, I start now at about 6 o'clock. But I don't count that as really starting my day. That's my morning ritual. That's my pieces of the puzzle, my exercising. I'm doing reading. I'm putting things together. So about 8:30, 9 o'clock, I actually get started on my process for the day. And my inbox, I've got 200 emails in it. If I don't have 200, I will by 10 o'clock. It's just that simple. Fridays are the worst days for open rates other than weekends, but sometimes you might actually catch people, especially if they're getting ready to go on vacation. If we're in a heavy vacation period, they're going to read everything they have for the following week. So be aware of where holidays fall in the schedule, and don't email people right before a holiday. Don't email people right before they leave, unless you want to catch them up front and get something going, and then you're going to hit it again after the holiday is over with. It's very common around Thanksgiving, very common from about December 22nd all the way through January 5th. Usually people are out of the office. You're going to get a lot of thanks, but I'm out of the office, That's this week, and I'm going to continue, like I said, doing the blog series. I am running more people through the sequence. I'm actually going to be approaching a different target market with a different message, doing a different thing. And so these are things that we all have to kind of keep our mind on. There are many ways to make money. One way is not the only way, and in fact, that's the whole concept of the value ladder, is how do you get people to ascend to another product within your business. Best example of that is back in the day, you could get a book and then you could get it on CDs. Then after that, you went into streaming, and after that you went into audiobooks, and now people are getting the PDF being downloaded to them. This combination of things, you're reselling the same material. You're not reinventing it. You're reselling it as a package that's different from what it had been. The record industry made mint on that for a long time by doing compilation material. One of the easiest ones they did was they would have the initial album or CD pressing, then they would do a master series, then they would do a master cut, and then they would do a compilation. Movies do the same kind of a thing. There's a director's cut. There's an uncut version of things. And so all of this is just the same darn movie packaged again and again and again. Same darn book packaged again and again and again. But there's a lot of people that are like me. I like to read a lot, and I need it on Kindle. And I need a physical book if I really, really like it. And I want the PDF for a download if I want to be able to peel something out of it. It's hard to peel something out of Kindle. It's just not really clear on how you would do that, and they don't want you to. But if you've got it in PDF form, you can take it, peel it out, rework it, and then maybe write something about it so that you've got your reference to the initial book and then you have your take on it. This is all different ways to repackage material, and I'm not saying you ever want to steal any of their material. I just want to make that really clear. If you're going to use somebody else's material, be sure to attribute that to that person. You don't want to ever find yourself borrowing, right? Appropriating somebody else's material. You don't want to do that. It's the worst thing you can possibly do for your reputation, and it's one of the worst things you can do to put yourself in a position down the road for something you did way back when that you forgot all about. You don't want to just reuse somebody else's pictures. Same kind of thing. Be really cautious of how you handle copyright, because you may not know about it, but 10 years down the road, you get sued for something you did way back when. There might be possibly a statute of limitations on things, but generally speaking, copyrights are for a long period of time. If it was copywritten back then and you reused it and didn't give the attribution and you didn't footnote it or anything, yeah, you might have some serious problems with that. This week we covered the blog series, we covered the sequence rewrite, and I'm waiting, since all the emails went out this morning, I'm waiting to see what new numbers for this particular sequence came out as for the end. Do I get any requests for more? Do I actually get people that go to my application page and apply? Set up time on my calendar? What is it? So, going to go ahead and leave it there for this week. This is the budding entrepreneur, Randy Bridges, signing off, wishing you the best in your health, your wealth, your family, your business, everything about you. Take care. We'll come back next week prepping for the month of November.